Welcome everybody to This Is Difficult, the podcast. Gotta catch them all, and here we all are. You got me, Paul, and Zach in one spot. Wow,
All
you
of
completed
us.
the
How did he
Pokedex.
pull that? I did not think you were going to pull that one back.
Completed the Pokedex of the best podcasters around. Well done. There was only three.
There's only three.
There's like a Mew and a Mewtwo that's like Adam and Colin.
There's a lot of podcasters out there who are like, hold my
So
shirt.
just the starting three, like
Yeah. I
We got-
also
actually-
didn't think I was going to pull that back, but
actually, interestingly though, like it's getting keyed out, but my hat has green in it. We got Paul wearing red
see
and
it.
Joshua wearing blue.
on
We got it.
stream,
We got
yeah.
the starters.
got
We
it.
are the starting
Oh, I
Pokemon.
would be the water too. Wait,
Yeah.
what?
And I'm fire.
Yeah, what? I don't know.
I just beat green version, so there you
Just
go.
like, fuck it, I could be whatever.
That's
Welcome
hilarious.
everybody. The podcast where we talk about video games and video games, such related materials thereof. I am. I was like knowing I was going to say it, so I'm just not going to say it. Now I can't not. All right. I'm your co-host, Lord Yeshua. When I say Lord, I feel like it's not as bad.
It
I always
doesn't.
say
It doesn't
Lord.
rhyme anymore, really. I mean, it
I
kind of
fucked it up.
does.
It doesn't rhyme anymore. Yeah. in the
I mean, it still
flesh book.
does,
Anyway.
There it is.
He said it.
You can't not at this point. We're too deep in.
We're way too deep in the flesh. All right. We're on.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Jesus.
bad again.
We're on
God.
Paul's channel. It's Ryugami-san himself. And we got Zach. It's another letdown, like my last joke. And we are here to talk about. This is a juicy one, so I'm just going to pass it off to Paul, see what he has in store. I'm really excited about this episode, though.
Me too.
Oh, we'll just start out like we always do. How you guys been? What you been up to?
I don't know.
Been playing
Not
any
bad.
games?
Mm.
Josh?
Oh, yeah.
Anything?
I've been sinking my teeth. So, of course, Pokemon. I've been playing. I finally achieved where I'm pretty much only playing competitive at this point. I beat the post game fully, and my team is where it wants to be, minus maybe a few tweaks as the meta gets stronger as I rank up. But I am really enjoying just kind of doing the competitive at this moment. It's like feels like I've pretty much beaten everything. But I've also been playing a lot of co-op with Colin. We were playing Twilight Princess, which came out with a mod. You have to use Parsec because it's a dolphin mod, but it is aside from weird glitches that happen, like for example, like when Colin walks over like an enemy, those enemies like come out of the ground. Like I don't know how to explain it, but these little worm guys in the forest temple. Instead of hurting him, it replaces him with me, and I go flying. So Colin was having a really good time just like walking over all of these guys casually, and I'm just like getting launched like humorously across the room. So aside from that and a few other really weird glitches with like using the boomerang and stuff, like if we both use it, it sometimes freaks out. It's a really good mod. It's very, very cohesive and honestly like comparable to, or even better than mod loader is a lot of the time as far as like how together our file is. Like we're literally side by side links, like slashing shit up. It's fucking awesome. Like he can down him and I come in with the finisher and just it's really cool. I will say we got a little bored, though. Just like it's a really long game and there's a lot of dialogue. So we started playing Elden Ring in the middle of our stream yesterday. We did stream, and then we jumped over to the Elden Ring Seamless Co-op mod, where we are doing a multi-class party this time instead of doing the same thing like we always do, like where we'll both be the same guy. I decided to go full like hand-to-hand combat bleed, and I'm like wielding two like bleed daggers right now, and I went samurai. And Colin is doing a full mage, so he went the highest intelligence possible. And so we're gonna like really try and dual class this run, which we don't really often do. So I think that'll
Cool.
be pretty fun. I'm going
That's
like
cool.
max min on like strength, pretty much min max, whatever. So yeah, and I just played Slay the Spire for the first time. My friend bought me this game, and it's kind of like Magic meets Pokemon in like a tower based combat thing. It's actually really good. I'm not gonna lie. I should review
I've
this
heard good
game when
things
I
about
finish
it.
it. I only played 2 games, just like one that he like walked me through and then one I did on my own. It's not co-op, which I was kind of hoping for when he was like, we should play this game. So I was like, ah, shit, it's not co-op. But I actually got really into it, seeing as like it's very Pokemon-y with like magic as like the main source of combat, but it like executes it like it's like Final Fantasy, like 7, if that makes sense. So with all of that combined, I'd say it's definitely worth a play. It seems really good for, I don't know, under $10 on Steam. So that's what I did this week. And then worked my ass off.
Nice. What about you, Zach?
Whatever. Who's next? Yeah,
What you
Zach.
been up to?
Again, Pokemon mostly, just because I can pick it up and put it down as the baby starts screaming,
Yeah.
which is kind of nice. not the baby screaming bit, but the pick up and put down stuff.
Soon you'll miss it.
A little, though he's not wrong. Like
Aww.
when I was sick a couple weeks ago, and Katie and the baby were elsewhere. I definitely did miss it. It was very strange, unexpected, but there you are. Mega Man 8, played a little bit of that. I got bored, switched back to Pokemon.
That happens with games we like love, those old nostalgic games.
Yeah.
Like I feel like we go back to it just to like feel it for a second, then we're like, I'm bored.
Yeah. The jump from 7 to 8 was weird. Like you can definitely tell the difference between a Nintendo console and a PlayStation. So that was a little jarring, but fine. I'll beat it eventually. And then on stream, I beat Mass Effect 2. Finally finished it, put it to bed.
Nice.
That was good. Somehow still managed to lose a crew member. Not sure how. Did a bunch of digging. I did everything right, and still one of them died. And I'm like, it's a crew member I don't really care about, so who cares? But it's still frustrating when you do everything right and you're like, that didn't work out. And then beyond that, on stream, we started referring to it as, rather than God of War, it's God of the Room. The dialogue and writing, it has gotten to the point in God of War Ragnarok that it seems like it was written by Tommy Wiseau.
So
like some of the comments
terrible?
are just so stupid.
So
like
people are raving about this story. Are you saying it's like pretty much
no,
limited
the
to,
story's
like, those
fine.
main story scenes though, and everything else
it's
is like shitty.
pretty much, yeah.
Oh,
Like just some of the interim dialogue, the running around dialogue is just foolish. And we kind of mock it relentlessly on stream. But it does like the story itself is really good and fun to follow. And the combat is still good. And when you actually get to do it, there was one moment, and I won't spoil anything because I know Paul's got it coming up. I actually sided with Atreus. Like I was like, no, Kratos, stop doing what you're doing. Atreus is absolutely 100% correct here, and you're being a moron. Which I guess you're kind of supposed to, but I'll wait for Paul to pass judgment on that one as well. It's got some cool moments, but yeah, there's a lot of Tommy Wiseau-esque.
Yeah, I might
stuff.
start it this week. I don't know.
Elden Ring didn't have any of that.
I know I said that last week or the week before, but I didn't. We'll see.
Well, it's I got to slow down my stream schedule a little bit too, just because the baby is now at an age where she needs a little bit more of my attention. She's not sleeping the times that I was streaming previously. So where Wednesday night was kind of always my night, it is no longer. And I'll talk about that at the end of the show. It's fine. Like I'm going to be streaming the same amount, just kind of all lumped into one as opposed to stretched across the week, which is better.
Or you could stream a lot later, but then lose all your sleep.
Exactly. And I'm already losing a fair amount of sleep anyway.
In school. Just say, fuck it. We're going to just stream.
Just live stream the classroom. Go live. Let's go.
Awesome. Kids will lose their shit.
The parents would lose their ass.
As long as it's only you on cam, I feel like it's okay.
Yeah, right. Or the backs of their heads or something. Probably still bad, but
yeah,
anyway, no, it's
it's
not something I will ever do. But no, it's God of War's fun. I'm gonna keep going with it. It's certainly entertaining. And then Mass Effect 3 coming up on not tomorrow, but a week from Monday. That'll be good.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I've been taking it easy. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon. Had like a lot of like stuff going on, like people's birthdays and all this crap, and so like I haven't had time to stream. I haven't played too many video games except for like when I have time, downtime while I'm working or something like that. So mostly just Pokemon, which is fine. We'll save the rest of that for the review here in a little bit.
Bulk of the episode.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been just thinking about the games that I love though the most, and I made this comment on Twitter, is that I kind of almost wish that 3D had never made its way into the video game industry. Which
kind of piggybacks a little bit on what Josh and I were saying at the end of last episode when we were talking about the changes to Pokemon that we would make that actually seeded this episode. We'll talk about. We'll circle back on those later in the episode. But
I wonder how
Yeah,
many
like-
franchises it hurt and how many it benefited.
exactly.
I mean, here's
I'd
the
love to
thing.
see
There's
that.
plenty of games that are some of my favorite games that are 3D, right? And that's
Elden Ring.
that's fine. Yeah, Elden Ring. We
Zelda.
talked about some of the Zelda games, though I prefer the 2D Zeldas by
Me too.
far.
I honestly think that like there's like 3 3D Zeldas that I'm not like super sold on now. It's pretty much just the first 3 that were in 3D. I'm like drooling over, and then everything that came after Wind Waker, I'm pretty much like kind of with you actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so there things like that, and just like I really enjoy the sprite work and like the mechanics of 2D games and how they play, and like that's literally all I've been thinking about this entire week is like, man,
Oh,
I
dude,
really
I
just
agree.
want to play like
Yeah.
freaking like
Link's
Super
Awakening.
Nintendo era games,
Well,
you know,
as
and
I've been-
Game Boy games, things like that.
As I've been going through this Game Boy modding process, like that's literally all I'm thinking about. I'm living and breathing 2D sprite work, and I miss it, man.
I think I found the Game Boy Color mod I want to get. It's
Oh, cool.
you can do it as a drop-in mod, but then there's also, if you want to make it a little fancier, there's like 3 wires you have to solder, and the soldering looked really easy.
I still want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I still might have you do it, especially if I want the functionality that the soldering brings. Like it gives you better backlighting because it puts more
Yep.
power to the screen. It gives you like different options, like debug options and stuff. That
I know which mod you're talking about.
yeah, the laminated
Yep.
mod. Yeah.
Yep.
It's really cool. And so it also lets you do like different like pixel filters and stuff.
Yep.
And that's actually like the main reason I want it.
That's my favorite part of it.
yeah.
But so just for those following this saga, Paul is very, very proud of his orange Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
That he probably has within arm's reach.
I do.
Of course.
And there it is. Yep. Which is
yeah.
a Japan exclusive color. I love it. I'm infinitely jealous. I do not actually have a Game Boy Advance. I have an SP. I have 5 Game Boy Advance SPs, but that's really neither here nor there. But I don't have that orange Game Boy Advance. I think that's really cool.
I was
and
so
so
scared to mod that thing too because it's
Yeah.
so like I bought that in Japan.
Right.
That's
It's very
scary.
And
special to me.
so he's very proud of that. And I did over the course of the last 2 weeks spec out what would it take to make a matching Game Boy Color. And I'm really into that design. It
Ooh.
looks beautiful, Josh. Like
Sounds amazing.
if Paul doesn't pull the trigger on it, I might do it anyway.
I might have you
because
do it. Yeah, I mean,
it's
it might
absolutely
be
gorgeous.
a couple months before I have you do
That's
that.
fine.
But
I got commissions up the dude. I got commissions up the wazoo over here.
Damn.
dude, I might send you my SP too because I hate my SP.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool
I
stuff.
might send you my color.
Yeah, please do, Josh. Do it.
Color.
So I've got an advance and a color coming in tomorrow.
If I give
So-
you the original Game Boy, can you like make it a fucking HD, like
Yeah.
the best possible? That's what I want. See, I do have the black.
So I'm
original.
working on that, Josh. My white whale of this whole project is I want to turn a DMG into a Game Boy Advance. It can
That's what
be
I
done.
want.
It can be done, but it is an insanely hard build that I am definitely not ready for at this point.
Yeah, because
When
you're
you're
gonna have
ready,
to
that might
do
be the
some like case modifications to put on like the
Yes.
back buttons.
There
and
has to
stuff.
be
Case
2
modifications are
chip
easy.
loaders.
Actually, you know
it's
what? If
the-
you if you use a SP, then
Yeah.
it shouldn't be that hard to do.
It's not.
That's
It's-
going to be the
it's the
easiest way to
fact-
do it, I would imagine.
Like an SP would fit really, really well into. This isn't going to get chromed out, but it would fit really well into a pocket frame,
Interesting.
or just a slightly bigger. But I really want to do it in a DMG because I like the
Yeah,
idea.
you just need to be able to
appeals
get that
me.
cartridge in, so you just need to mod the back a little to be able to dip
Right.
the Game Boy
Yeah.
Advance card in.
Yeah, it's honestly what I would do, Josh, is just 3D print a different back.
Sick.
Right? Like that's that's the correct way to do it. And I don't think, like, I've done a lot of scouring of the internet. I don't think anybody's thought of that yet, or at least not posted it publicly yet.
Oh, this is a money idea.
I know, right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
3D print a new case and go to town. What is it? That would be shoulder buttons on the back side, just kind of like middle finger toggles. It'd be so cool. Oh my god, the hair trigger on that would be so nuts.
I would feel
trying to dash as Mega Man and just like flicking your middle finger in and out.
I found one.
Oh. Did you find one?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, it's been done. Like plenty of people have put it in a DMG.
I mean,
I'll
post it in our.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think that this person shows the actual build, but
I did find a guy who's portableized a Virtual Boy.
Oh,
that was a fun watch.
I put
that
it
was
in
a
our
fun
group
watch.
chat.
Okay.
Blind himself on the bus.
It basically emulates the.
The Virtual Boy was portable.
It was, but it had to be on a table. Yeah, like
no,
it was
I know. I've seen what you're talking about. It actually is really cool.
I've been deep in the rabbit hole of that project.
That's cool.
I gotta get my goal is to get one of them done this week. I'm gonna get one of the SPs done this week.
That would be cool.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, I haven't done a lot. I fired up my my pizza oven for the first time today, just to like. There's like little plastic bits and styrofoam that like was a pain in the ass to get out, and so I just like threw a bunch of wood in there and got it as hot as I possibly could.
I called Paul a coward because he didn't make pizza with the plastic.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Dude, the smell coming off that thing was
oh, I'm sure it was heinous.
So like I think if I tried to cook a pizza first try in that, it would have been disgusting and probably cancerous.
Carcinogenic pizza. I call his stuff. If Paul dies from this pizza oven, I got dibs on his stuff.
Yeah.
Not all of his stuff. I want the Chrono Trigger.
Oh, you have the Chrono Trigger.
I have two copies.
Perfect.
You want the box copy or the non-box copy?
The Japanese one.
They're both Japanese.
Oh, what? The box copy then?
No, I got dibs on the box.
I'll take the open. I'll actually play it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's sexy. I wonder what your collection goes for, dude. Probably way more than mine.
I'm sure.
Close. Yeah.
I think you guys think I have more games than I do.
The ones you have are like diamonds.
I do have some pretty cool ones, but a lot of my collection got destroyed in a flood at my mom's house because I had moved out, but I was living in a small apartment and/or friends' couches, and like all my shit was in my mom's basement. And
if only you knew someone who has connections at PCBWay who could repair those things.
Yeah, I mean, this was years and years and years ago, so that stuff's all gone. If I knew you, fucking.
If you knew me with my current skill set,
15 years ago,
15 years ago,
whatever. So
yeah,
sure, you wouldn't know.
Yeah,
that's awesome though. Well, that could happen,
Mm-hmm.
but.
Damn. But yeah, so a lot of my really cool stuff is gone. But I've been rebuilding my collection, but it's not as impressive as you guys might think it is. So
yeah,
my Super Nintendo collection is really my only pride and joy. And then I have a few good N64 games, and then like a bunch of GameCube, Wii U, Switch.
Yeah, most of my good stuff is Game Boy.
Yeah,
so my whole Game Boy collection, that was another one. It got stolen. All my Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. I literally had like 100 games.
I was able to salvage a good amount of my Game Boy stuff, but some of my favorite games, like Mega Man 5, got washed.
Oof.
And my original Game Boy Color. It was in my original Game Boy Color.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, gone with the wind. And my original Pokemon. My Pokemon Red. I do have now 2 copies of Pokemon Red, but my original one, that one got destroyed. So, but yeah, big bummer. Anywho, you guys got any current events?
So on gaming news, I think I mentioned last time that this show was coming out, but the new Last of Us came out, and I watched it, and I liked it.
Yeah, I've heard it's really good.
I heard it's
very
really
faithful to the source
very
material.
faithful to the source material. Exactly.
Yeah. Not only that, actually, one of the lead actresses is the voice actor that plays the exact same character. That's cool. How faithful they were trying to be.
That. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's like I played the beginning of The Last of Us 1, and it seemed like pretty much verbatim.
Yeah,
That's
So
awesome.
that was
I
really nice.
I just
Yeah.
couldn't get into that game, and
Yeah,
I
me either.
have no desire to. But honestly, I'm probably more apt to watch the show because, as I
This was my
understand, the
exact
game is
thought,
basically
yeah.
just like a fucking show slash
This
movie.
is just
Yeah.
turning the game on autopilot and just
Yeah.
going, and you don't run out of resources.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so
And a
I'm
lot of players were actually saying it skips over annoying parts in the game because you're it's like a survival game.
yeah.
So say you have like 5 bullets and you're like trying to overcome this thing right in the beginning, and you're like, this is bullshit. Like a lot of people had that reaction because it's very kind of difficult of a game. So all of that's cut out and it's just like the enjoyable watching parts, but it's still very close to source material, which is rare these days. So yeah, that's also Zelda is coming out next month, or it's not February yet, but that is very close. We're getting Zelda in less than 2 months at this point, so I'm actually kind of excited. to do
I'm
Zelda
cautiously
game.
optimistic. We'll
Yeah, me
see
too.
what
That's
happens.
that's
I'm
where
not
I'm
gonna
at too. Cautiously
I'm not gonna
optimistic.
I'm not gonna launch day it. I've got too much on my
Yeah.
plate right now.
It
But
has been
once
6 years though, so I feel like
Yeah.
this is like a lot of time to develop a game.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time.
I'm really hoping, Josh, that it pans out to be as good as as good as it can be, as we know it can be,
Yeah.
and that you come back to this podcast and be like, okay, guys, you need to go play this game. It's actually really phenomenal.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm probably
really
gonna
hoping
say
that.
something like that. Like it usually takes me a few months for the rose-colored goggles to wear off. So like Pokemon would have gotten a much higher score. Sorry, but spoiler alert, I'm not gonna say the numbers or anything. If like I rated it right away that first month,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Now I've gotten time for the entire game to sink in. So with
I
Zelda,
honestly,
there's a,
I'm like the opposite on that. To be
really.
yeah,
How long are you playing?
I tend to be a lot more critical.
Well, sometimes
I
it
really
goes more up.
disliked it
Sometimes it gets-
in the beginning, and the longer I played, the
Oh.
more I warmed up to it. But that's not to say that I'm giving it a good score.
No, yeah. Well, for
Well,
like
I mean, it's okay. We'll
Let's
we'll
not talk
address
about
this later.
Pokemon
Let's
right now.
let's,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
not put the cart
Yeah.
before the horse.
for somehow
um,
saying we should talk about Breath of the Wild instead.
Oh,
But
No,
so that was
no,
a game
no.
that was a game that I liked so much in the beginning, like
Me too.
so much.
Yeah.
And so that didn't really wear off for like I was literally
It wore off
depressed
pretty
after I beat
fast for
that
me.
game. I remember being depressed for a few days after beating it because I was like, damn, I played that game every day for like 3 months. Like, holy shit. That's kind of how I felt after beating Elden Ring too. And being like,
I
think
did
I'm
feel that
putting it
way
down.
after Elden Ring and after Ghost of Tsushima. I had like withdraw, and so I tried playing other similar games, like The Witcher, and I just couldn't get into those. Which actually, I've been like listening to The Witcher on tape, and I rewatched the show. I just really love that world. It's fucking cool. So
Mhm. Read the
I
books.
might, yeah, I'm listening to the book on tape.
Oh, listening. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Love a good audiobook.
Yeah, I'm doing the audiobook. Yeah.
You need to be
Um,
on audio.
I mean, there's a bunch of them. I had a ton of Audible credits, so I just grabbed
So
like
many.
all the Witcher books. But yeah, it's really good, and it's really like it's a very cool world, and like I might try to play the game again for like a third or fourth time. We'll
It's
see.
an HD remake on the PS5. My buddy
I
just
know,
got
yeah,
it.
it
And
just
he
came out.
He beat it like 5 times, and he
And I
got
have
it
it
on
on
the remake,
PS5.
and he was like, "It's the best thing ever."
Yeah.
He started playing. He was like, "Yeah, this is like the best quintessential
I have
version
it.
of the game." Basically.
I think I lent it to someone though. Shit, I might need to figure out who I lent that
Oh,
game
no.
to.
Well, I got a couple micro current events.
Yeah, let's hear 'em.
We got confirmation that Space Marine 2 is indeed coming out this year. We don't have a release window for it yet, but we do have confirmation that it is slated
That'll
for
be
this
neat.
year. So very happy about that. And my other little one that Chamali sent me is that Marvel's Avengers seems to be going the way of Anthem. They are not going to support it after, I believe, September.
Is that a surprise to anybody?
No,
I
it's
haven't
not.
heard
I'm
anyone
just
talk
like,
about the
wow,
game in
that's-
such a long time because it was such a flop.
Wait, so
Yeah.
Anthem is dead? Oh yeah, I forgot. It's going the way of Mario 35. I almost cried that day.
Mario 35 was
I can
popular.
still buy
don't
Mario
under-
35.
I
dude.
don't understand
I
why
can't
they
believe
got
they
rid
pulled
of
that.
Mario 35.
Oh, so we're talking about unpopular, so they pulled it.
Right.
No, that was just like for no reason.
That was
They
planned
just
pull,
They set
yeah.
a planned end date, which was foolish.
Which didn't happen because you can still buy it.
You can't play it though.
Oh yeah.
Can you?
No, Mario 35. You can't.
Oh, Mario 30. Yes, sorry. No. You're right. Yep. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of Mario.
Oh, I sat
3D
on
All-Stars.
until it booted me. I was like, well, play until.
Oh, 3D All Stars is what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's a good one.
Making mistakes. But yeah, those are just a couple little micro current event things that popped up this week.
I got one.
All of it.
So the rumor mill is swirling again.
Oh,
when it comes to Nintendo, and there's some pretty reliable leakers saying that there's gonna be a direct before the end of the month.
That makes sense.
And they're talking about it including a new Mario game,
fuck yeah,
Donkey Kong,
yes,
Metroid.
Baby. Give it to us. Fuck,
Kid Icarus.
Yeah, some of the big ones.
I'll even buy that.
Kid Icarus, and then there was one other one, I forget.
I don't remember what the other one was.
Can you imagine people will forget how slow Nintendo's been.
There was a rumor
I know
that
what the other thing was.
Yep.
It was a Switch revision, but not a good one. It's just a new version of the OLED, but it's not like a Switch Plus or anything like that.
Nothing on the Game Boy
on
store?
that. Yeah, nothing on that.
I did see,
but that's not to say any of those things are real. Like
right.
We've seen leaks like this before.
The PlayStation one last year, remember that one?
I'm pretty
sure the PlayStation one was real. No,
there was one.
No, I was thinking of.
No, it wasn't.
No, I was thinking of the Steam leak. The Steam leak.
Oh yeah,
the reliable ones, but we did have someone predicting Metroid Prime Dread. I remember that was predicted. Someone predicted Paper Mario. It was like, is this the same guy? Or,
I don't know. But like I said, they're with Nintendo also, first of all, they usually like to only focus on one thing. Like either if it's a big game, that's the only focus in their direct, right?
Yeah.
If it or they make a small mention at the end of the direct about it, like they've done with Zelda a couple times.
Maybe this is a coup de grace.
Or they do like a longer direct that has a whole bunch of games no one gives a shit about. Yeah. So
I actually have a feeling though they've been they've been so backed up and giving us shit games for years and years because of COVID and because of other things. What if they're just like, you know what, fan service, and they're gonna give us something to taste for like 5 years to come?
I would love that, but also a thing that Nintendo also loves to do is when leaks or rumors come out, they shut everything down and then pull their drops and release it later. I don't know why the hell they do this, but they're like, no one can predict us. We won't allow it.
Yeah.
I think that's why.
Yeah, it's stupid.
They're really going on for an 8-year console run here, aren't they? And if you think about it, I was just thinking about this the other day. The Wii U is basically like an interim console. So really the last time we got a true console was the Wii. And so we're
2007.
2007.
I disagree. The Wii U is quite a jump from the Wii.
I love the Wii U.
I love the Wii U too. I actually, a podcast that I listen to a lot and respect, I'm not going to say the name of the podcast, but they were shitting on the Wii U the other day, and it was pissing me off. I was like, look, man, the Wii U itself is not bad. The Wii U was marketed poorly and didn't sell well enough is really the problem.
Basically a Wii 2.
And so not a lot came out for it, but there was still some excellent shit that did, and the console itself is pretty fucking cool. I really like the gamepad.
I love the gamepad, yeah.
I also heard, so I have some friends who are game developers. I heard that to get a dev kit for the Wii U was incredibly difficult. Even AAA studios could not get dev kits for it.
So Nintendo just shot themselves.
They just dropped the ball on the Wii U. Yeah.
God, what a
it was a cool device.
They did a Dreamcast with it essentially.
It needed 1 or 2 more years, honestly.
Dreamcast was ahead of its time, and it was excellent hardware and had awesome games, but it was really poorly marketed, and there was some critical flaws which made every game free.
Yeah. So, but then Nintendo bounced hard with the 3DS right after that and was like, all right, slam dunk with the 3DS, float until the Switch. They're floating good. They could really use a big year. I feel like
they need a big
year would be cool. And
hearing all and Zelda's a good place to start.
I know these are leaks.
I mean, you're saying this Nintendo's struggling. I think Nintendo's spoiled because everyone people love the Switch, and it's still the best-selling console on the market right now. Even though they're not putting out the number of games that other consoles are and whatnot, they're still fucking winning, dude. And
Sure.
And
Make this the best fucking console ever.
Well, I think people need to stop fucking giving Nintendo money until they put out something good. Is really what needs to happen.
Yeah, but you got idiots like me and Josh who aren't going to stop giving them money ever.
Yeah, I know, and me too. I mean,
yeah, but I agree. Yeah, there are definitely. It's clear, like to them, what games pull numbers, so they could easily like move the pieces as they see fit. So I will be grateful if I get any one of those big three of Donkey Kong, Mario, and we're already getting Zelda this year. Metroid, or if we're already getting Zelda this year, that would be like slam dunk if we got any one of them. I think we're due for Mario. I think that Mario is
the theory is that the Mario game is going to be in somehow linked to the Mario movie, and some people talked about like them going kind of back to 2D. I don't know. There are some weird rumors about it.
So I know they were trying to run with the like Bowser's Fury was like a segue into their potential ideas of having an open world Mario. And the movie is kind of like the whole concept of having no level doors and stuff. And so it's possible the movie is like incorporating this open. It'd be
foolish for them not to use the movie to sell a game.
But they're not going to do Chris Pratt as the new Mario, are they? Oh,
I doubt it.
Oh.
I doubt it. Charles,
who knows? Who cares?
So then, how bad could it be? Who gives a shit then? Fuck it. Mario movie the game, whatever. Yeah. I think it'll be fun.
Mario movie the game. It's gonna be like Street Fighter the movie the game, which I had on fucking Sega Saturn.
You can put a freaking water gun on his back, and I'll play that game. Oh wait,
that game sucks. That's the worst Mario game.
Bring his hat to life, and I'll still play it. Oh wait.
Yeah, I like that one. I think Odyssey's great.
You think Sunshine is the worst?
I hate Sunshine.
So I do think though that it's either going to be a sequel or like an alongside of either Bowser's Fury or Odyssey, and the reasoning that's always how it's been when there's two Marios that are on a console. Although we've only ever done that like once before. So maybe it is just a brand new Mario reboot. That would be crazy.
Who knows? We'll see. You guys want to get into the review?
Let's do the review.
Okay. So the game that we are reviewing today.
Well, games technically plural.
Games. Pokemon.
Make it better or worse?
Scarlet and Violet.
We're gonna be reviewing the new Pokemon games.
We're gonna triple team this bad boy. So
I want to make jokes.
Yep, I know. So to get the details out of the way, this is Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, developed by the Pokemon Company and Game Freak, produced by Nintendo. It was released on November 18th of 2022. We all played it on the Switch. It's only available on the Switch.
Yep.
So those are the minor details there. Let's start with what you guys like about the game. I think that's an easy one for me. It's a Pokemon game.
It was a
Pokemon game. It is fun. It is fun. The story was fun.
Yeah.
Enjoyable. I said this a couple weeks ago. I really like the fact that you are not a total dick to your rival or rivals, plural in this case.
It was really not heavy. Like it was really
it's very light. I feel like it's totally.
Well, they had that whole like anti-bullying plot in it, which
they did have the anti-bullying
plot. Spoiler alert! Heavy spoilers to come by.
Oh yes. Sorry, yeah. We're beyond the statute of limitations,
just so we can talk freely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a little heavy-handed, and the school theme is interesting, but like it's very clear that they're trying to recapture the youth audience as well as give something for those of us who have been entrenched in the franchise forever. But
really remind me that I'm old.
I'm older than you, and Paul's older than me, so deal with it.
The game kind of does that, you know what I mean?
Oh yes, absolutely. Mechanically it's fine. It doesn't break the mold at all. But yeah, it's at the end of the day, it's a fun game.
Yeah. I don't think anyone can disagree with that. What did you not like about the game? Let's start with Josh.
Okay,
Josh, what did you not like about the game?
I'm just going to get this one out of the way because we all think it. And so basically the graphical integrity and just like the way a lot of the sprites and overworld functioned in certain ways and the textures overall were not polished, and they attempted to patch it and it didn't fully patch it in so many ways.
I think it made it worse.
There are times when I went, behind the scenes and was inside of a barrier or a wall. There were times where I like exploded and turned into different things. You know what I mean? Like mutate your character, or your character sinks into the floor, or you're blipping through shit, or any number of things kind of happen. And texture wise, the textures are like melting sometimes. Like the walls would like wave at me when I'm coming towards them. It's like really fucking weird shit. Graphically, get that out of the way aside. There are other things I didn't like about this game. The co-op was like promised to us, and I feel like it wasn't very fleshed out. So this is something that really bugged me.
Well, it doesn't work.
It kind of does. So me and my buddy Matt were able to go into a game together, and you basically can run around, but you're playing like individually in fights, and you can't join together, even though they showed that there are double battles in this game.
And there are, just with NPCs.
One of the gym leader even like makes you have a double battle.
Oh. So yeah.
I know, that was great. So I feel like to not have that option to fight side by side with your friend was like a massive whiff on their part, even though it's not like, it's just like not a feature that's in the game. So it's not necessarily a huge strike. It is definitely something that I was expecting because of how they advertised the co-op. And I should have seen it coming that it was mostly for the raid battles. I did not like the scaling. I felt like the ranking was really not as advertised. I would have loved it if you just press a button, all opponents' Pokemon and wild Pokemon scale to, let's say, the lowest level
LCD.
on your team.
Yeah,
like that seems so easy to program into a Nintendo game.
Or
And
the high, like
that's
kind of like an average,
yeah.
do an average.
Like about a 60 and a 65, I'm fighting.
Yeah, so you're gonna fight like some Pokemon that are a little higher than you and some that are a little lower, but right around, and same thing with the gyms, like
those should have been scaled.
The big
like,
problem
is
caps.
Gyms needed to be scaled.
The big problem with this whole open world thing is you and there's some restrictions with what they do with like the movement of your ride Pokemon and stuff, but that's easily overcome. But then you find yourself either in an area where you're way underpowered, which I think is fine as long as they gate it properly. Which again kind of goes back to why Pokemon games shouldn't be open world. And then secondly, you'll run into areas where you're way overpowered. Like there was some areas that I went to near the end of the game that I hadn't gone to yet, and I just like destroyed everything. It wasn't fun at all.
Right.
And that just makes it like a breeze through when you're saving something. Like I saved these 2 gyms because I had no idea, and they were like level 12.
Yeah.
Like when I went to I was like, really? I like saved these for last so I could enjoy them like thoroughly, but nope. Yep. I'd already beaten the strongest gym leader. Who knew?
Yeah. Well, the other thing, like if you're looking to catch a specific Pokemon, now you've got to completely restructure your team based on one random drop.
Yeah.
Like that's foolishness. I can't. I'm running a level 82 Dragonite and just riding his back.
There's some Pokemon that you can get in the end game that have a move that always does half of their damage. And so you could be level 100 and use this move and not KO a level 4 Pokemon if you want to, you know what I mean? So I've been using that on like areas where I'm over leveled and there's something that I want to catch. I'll use that to get their health like all the way down without killing them. And then
there's another move that leaves them with no less than 1 health. I can't remember what it is. It's like not Endure, but there is a move like that where it like guarantees they stay at 1 health.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely for wild Pokemon. It's less of an issue for me, if I'm being honest. Like I don't mind if there's level caps for like the wild Pokemon.
Sure.
I would like, because that's the thing. What if I'm farming a guy? Like I don't necessarily want it to be a challenging fight over and over and over again. I maybe want to just like, oh shit, wrong hidden move or whatever, and I want to catch the right one. That's annoying if they're like beating the shit out of you. But there could be level caps on each area. Like this area, the wild Pokemon could be no higher than level 20. That's just the thing they could have added into the game. The trainers are kind of unexcusable for an open world game, considering they've already done Breath of the Wild and other games where they saw Breath was like the same issue with me though, but it was at least more like on par. Like enemies deal the same amount of damage. You just have more HP. So this was a little more egregious. So, I mean, we can stop harping on that. But aside from that, there wasn't like too much really for me I think the art style could use a redo at this point in the game.
Dude,
where
We'll talk about that in the main topic,
yeah,
Josh.
we'll talk about that in a
We'll
bit
talk about it in the
because
main
I've got
topic.
something
We have the same
significant
idea.
to say
Yeah.
about that. Zach, what about you? What did you not like about that game?
I mean, the graphics were literal ass.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so bad. There was one bit I turned on my Switch last night, and not only were the graphics looking like something that maybe would have run on a Super Nintendo, the buttons stopped. Like, they were so bad, and the Switch was struggling to get them loaded that the buttons stopped responding. Like, no button did a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is dumb.
The game fails occasionally too and just crashes.
It does. That was the other thing I was just gonna say. I've crashed this game 4 times, and I'm like, this never happened with Dread. This never happened with any of the Marios, any of the Zeldas, any of the other games I've played. There's no excuse for that.
Really
this game it's unstable. Yeah. It's wildly unstable.
Yep.
And that's the instability is really what gets it for me.
For me, there's a couple things. I totally agree with the things you guys just mentioned, especially like if you've done any like raid battles online.
Oh,
they're
even offline, dude. They're so bad.
Yeah, they're 10 times worse online. Like everything's like so behind, and like sometimes you just can't do anything, and like the timer's just ticking down. And
it's Scott Pilgrim all over
really again. Bad. Yeah. I will say the ranked battles are really tight. Sometimes you're just waiting, depending on like where the other person's region is. So like the most I've ever waited in a turn was like 30 seconds, and it's usually much faster than that.
That's still a lot. Though.
That's still way better. I mean, the online raid battles are rough. But the things that I didn't like, in addition to that, number one, the starters I think are by far the lamest starters in any Pokemon game ever.
Skeledirge is okay.
So lame. That's the one I started. That's the one I started with was the little crocodile dude, and like, it's just so. He's such a boring Pokemon. Like he does
really boring.
He does have some cool moves.
Fire.
Yeah, but he's ugly and stupid looking. Like
he's ugly.
Yeah, I don't.
The signature move is good.
The signature move's good. Yeah, like the
There's
song
more signature
thing.
moves now.
Yeah.
Also
true.
So like that's cool. Like it's like I do like that, especially in a raid. You can like you use that fire song or whatever the hell it is over and over again, and then you use a more powerful fire move, and it just freaking smashes it. So that's pretty cool.
I would agree that this is probably the weakest. Like out of like averaging the scores of all 3 starters, this is the weakest. Quackley is just like
so lame.
I can't believe they made that.
The final evolution is so dorky. Oh my god!
It's actually apparently like semi-competitive, but like not good enough.
Yeah,
it's a waste.
Yeah, that's I dumped him in my box. Over, I prioritized a Tauros over him. I was like, dude, this is embarrassing.
The cat looks terrible, but also
the cat I think is the best looking of the 3. But it's still not my favorite.
Yeah, I raised mine as a special attacker, and I was like, cool, it can do both. It doesn't learn like any special attack moves after a certain level, and I was like, I just like wasted my starter, and that felt really bad.
Well, that's one thing that I do like about the game though, is that you can go back and relearn moves. You can't.
There's not much though for her.
You can also you can redo stats. It's just a pain in the ass. It's expensive.
You can
there's a person you can talk to.
No.
EVs?
Yeah.
EVs?
Yeah. There's items that you can use to knock out all your EVs, and then you just use stat boosting items to rebuild them.
I think I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah. They're like some kind of herbs or whatever. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Not the Mystica ones. There's other shit. There's 6 different ones for each stat that you can use to reduce, like, knock them down to your base stats down to 0.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I did that with a couple of Pokemon. That's cool. Whatever. The other thing that I really didn't like is the kind of forced open worldy bullshit that they put into it, like the sandwich making. Is stupid. Just give me an item to do it that I can buy. I don't want to have to fucking build a sandwich.
Picnic wasn't interactive enough to that. Like the picnic could have worked if there were like activities and
more
things
shit to do.
Yeah.
I do like how it does the breeding in the picnic thing. Like that's kind of cool.
Also the move swap with the mirror herb. You literally just, as soon as they come out of the Pokeball, the move tutor works.
Sure.
Like if you're trying to lose an egg move. So I think there's a lot of quality of life enhancements that we're not.
Yeah,
mentioning
so that
also.
kind of stuff is cool, but like I said, the stupid
Excellent.
like fucking sandwiches are
Sandwich.
dumb. Having to get different materials to create EVs is dumb. Like it's annoying, and it's just stupid stuff that open world games do to extend your playtime. And that stuff drives me nuts. And it's never been in Pokemon before. And we've put hundreds of hours into other Pokemon games. Why do this now? You know?
I do feel though that aside from the sandwiches, I do feel, just to defend it slightly, that this is the easiest game to raise EVs fully in. Like I feel like Pokemon X and Y had like you had to do some battle thing a bunch of times. The last game sort of had this, but I feel like as annoying as it is, like where I'm at, we're towards the end of the game, we're in the post game. It's super easy to just get like 200,000 like money and then just like buy them and just like juice them in.
Yeah.
Like it can be pretty easy, but also I agree there could be an easier way. Why do we have to even like work towards it?
Yeah, it's
Why
stupid.
not just be like choose your EVs? Thank you.
I don't know. Anyway, we already did that. How did you like the story? I thought the story was
fun.
decent.
quaint.
There's kind of like two parallel
Yeah.
storylines going on that kind of converge at the end.
3 technically.
I actually, 3.
Well, there's the
Yeah, you're right.
expected one, and then
Yeah,
There's the
real
expected
and
one,
there's-
and then there's the Titan one, and then there's the Team
Team Rocket
Star
one.
or
It
whatever.
turns out you do have to beat all of them. I was
And you
unsure
do
about
have
that.
to beat all of them to actually fully beat the game and get into the end game. And
which was
those
a
are
little
fine.
misleading to me because like they come at you with like, oh, choose your own adventure through this, and
I
I was like,
also
oh,
agree.
am I just picking one path and going with it? Because if
Well,
that's the
thought
case,
that
I'm just
too.
battling
I
the
ran
Elite Four.
into the exact same thing at the end. I finished the Elite Four and I was like, sweet, roll credits, and it didn't roll credits. I'm like, okay, something's missing. you know? But
Yeah.
and so I had to go do all the Team Star stuff, which I ignored throughout the entire game.
And it was a pain. Like the mechanics behind the Team Star thing were foolish.
It was
just
kind of
showing off.
novel at first, but like after doing one or two of them, you're like, okay, this is stupid.
It
Can I just
taught
go
you-
fight
I
the
will
boss?
say it
We-
kind of
we
taught
have-
you how to use your wild Pokemon combat, like where you just throw your Pokemon.
Yeah,
That's kind of
yeah.
what it was.
But
for.
you
That's
could've-
definitely what it was doing, but they could have done that over one instance of it.
You
like they
also
don't.
Or made it
figure it out
better.
on accident at the beginning of the game when you tap the fucking R button. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like
Also didn't
And
scale, and,
it's-
those were disappointingly weak towards the
Right.
end too.
Yeah.
So it was one of those instances where a developer says, "Oh, we've done this thing. You can release your Pokemon and have it battle on its own," and then they start congratubating over
Yeah.
it. Like, look
Yeah.
at this beautiful thing that we did, and you're like, "No, it's
Yeah,
not as
it's
cool."
pretty
as you think
lame.
it
I
is."
think it's cool.
honestly, the
in
most
random,
useful
but,
thing that
yeah.
they do is pick up items off the ground.
But yeah,
Yeah.
you can't increase your EVs when you're fighting like that. Also, which I found out the hard way.
Which is actually
Um,
good if you want to create a perfect
True.
stat Pokemon. Like,
It's
you know,
annoying if you're trying to raise your EVs.
yeah, but I mean, like, so if you have them, if you raise a Pokemon with your EVs at 0, you can then go use like your calcium and your whatever to get
Exactly,
the
yeah.
exact EVs that you want. So,
Yeah.
which is what I did with some of my Pokemon towards the end when I was trying to build raid Pokemon. Is, you know, I just wiped out their stats and then rebuilt them with, you know, those items. Then I went and got my IVs all the way maxed out, and boom, I've got
Hypertrain.
dope Pokemon. You know, Pokemons. Anyway,
It is kind of easier to do this time around. That's what I'm saying. You just
Yeah.
buy a bunch of bottle caps and you max out their IVs.
yeah. So that's
Go
cool.
Bango.
There are like you said, there's a lot of cool quality of life stuff in the game, but it's kind of like stuff no one asked for, and we wouldn't
Yeah.
have missed it if we didn't know it existed.
Yeah, like
exactly.
the auto heal.
Like
Yeah.
if they
Auto
had,
heal on.
yeah.
Yeah.
if they had focused on actually making, you know, the necessary improvements, the things that absolutely have to be there, instead of putting all these little, I mean, they're probably just bugs dressed in tuxedos, really. In terms of level of feature, like we'd have a much better game on our hands.
I agree. So back on the whole story thing. The story's okay. It's definitely not the worst Pokemon story. It's definitely not the best Pokemon story. The Team Star one was lame, I thought.
Oh,
I
it's super
actually
lame.
really liked the Titan storyline. I thought that was the
Yeah, I
best
thought that
of
was
the
the
three.
best
fun.
one.
Now, part of that is there was a dog involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there was a
but
good boy involved.
he
Not really.
also
He was a good boy.
like he's almost the main character of the game in a sense. Like big spoiler here, but and I won't go into too much detail, but he's directly linked to the end game.
Yeah.
Yes.
directly.
Well, not only
and
that,
like
he's basically
the
you,
biggest-
but he gives
yeah.
up.
and the biggest
You know what I
reveal
mean?
in the game
Yeah.
involves him. You know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Exactly.
If he kept Muraden or the other one's name from
Yeah, I don't remember.
By the way, the
Koraidon.
storylines are then he would have been Ash
Miraidon.
basically. But I didn't even realize this. The games are more different than I thought. In Violet, end game is the future,
Mhm.
like goes
And-
into
and
the
in-
future.
yeah, in
and
Scarlet, it's the
goes
past.
into the past. I
Yeah.
didn't realize that until I was
Which
looking up all the-
made me think, Josh, that I think there's a direct connection to Arceus.
no.
could be, or it could be a hint that the next Legends game is in the future.
Yeah.
Maybe, but
Ooh.
the past that you get these Pokemon from in this game is way before Arceus. It's like
Right, but
prehistoric.
Not a
that's not
prehistoric, yeah.
precluding the fact that it could be Arceus, Paul.
Arceus
Like,
is prehistoric.
At
Oh my
some point,
God.
like there was some build toward that, like integrating those past worlds.
Maybe
Like not necessarily. Yeah,
I mean,
it's
yeah.
I'm being hyperbolic, but like there's
Hyperbolic time chamber.
it's not it's See, thank you, Josh. It's not outside the realm of possibility, is what I'm saying.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah, maybe. But another thing that I noticed about that though, involving the story, that was a big glitch, I thought, or maybe not a glitch, but an oversight, was when Homeboy is talking about the Forbidden Region or whatever the fuck.
Danger zone.
Danger
Danger
Zone.
Zo-
When he's
Area
talking about the
Zero.
Danger Zone.
Area 0, yeah.
Danger Zone. Yeah, we're calling it the
Got it.
Danger Zone from now on. He's talking about the Danger Zone. He only refers to the Pokemon that he's talking about. He's referring to the future Pokemon. He does not refer to the past Pokemon. And so that was a little bit jarring playing Scarlet because like when I got in there, he's talking about how there's all these like scary machines and shit. And he's talking about the Pokemon that come through from Violet.
Yeah.
Those aren't in Scarlet at all.
Interesting.
So yeah, and he
So they
makes-
just copy pasted the dialogue.
Yeah. Now when you get
Oh,
in, when you
wow.
actually get in there, and you know so and so's talking to you, like they're talking about, oh, this links to the past and all that kind of shit. But
Good game.
yeah, great game. But before then, like all the dialogue about the Danger Zone leading up to that is like referring to Violet. So
Huh. That's so
Damn.
weird.
Interesting.
yeah.
All right, move on to the next
Yep,
question.
move
Paul.
on.
about that how about that
Story was
ending and the
engaging.
end-
We already kind of
Ed
talked about that.
Sheeran? Ed Sheeran.
So, hold on, Jay, hold on.
Well, we're gonna get
Hold
there.
on.
That's a point. But how is the gameplay? The gameplay's fine with the exception of
Fine,
the,
could be
the
better.
glitches and stuff. Let's move on from that. We've kind of talked about the
As good as
gameplay.
Sword.
The
Not
art
better.
is
Yeah.
bad, if you ask me.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty
I
bad.
think they did okay.
Not to say that some of
honestly.
the new Pokemon designs aren't cool, but
That's where
like
it
just
is,
the
yeah.
overall art design of this game in general is bad. And like Zach and I were talking about this before the podcast. I went back and looked at some footage of previous Pokemon games like Sword and Shield and like Sun and Moon and things like that. Those games look way the fuck better than this.
They
Way
serious?
the fuck better.
gorgeous by
Yes.
comparison. Yeah.
Yes.
The ones on the
Wow.
3DS, dude, look so good. X and Y
Mm-hmm.
look
X and Y looks good.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's just the blending. They didn't blend the game perfectly. Like the open world means they have to have like pieces of landscape and like architecture that like are, you know what I mean, are like repeated throughout, so they don't give a shit as much about them. They don't
Yeah.
blend as smoothly as like a linear story where,
Yeah, it
where they
just-
can articulate everything.
Yeah, they could have done a way better job with this, and I feel like they rushed it, and it looks like ass.
Yep.
So
I don't super agree with that, but I do agree that they could have put a lot more polish into it. I think the Pokemon
And
themselves
well, the
look
stupid
better than they have
chandelier
before.
thing is I
That is a
hate it.
strike
yeah,
against the art style.
I hate the chandelier thing too. That we
And
were
I
we
don't
talked
hate
about
when
this
it's
last week.
ever
like-
to load too.
I hate the
Yeah.
chandelier itself. I don't hate the ramifications for battle. I actually
Sure,
think that's
sure.
really
Sure.
cool.
Yeah, no, the mechanic is
Yeah.
cool. But
yeah, we
the-
talked
the-
about this last week. Like the mechanic is fine.
Yeah.
but like the Gigantamax was cooler, and it was the same
Yeah.
thing basically.
Yeah.
You know, so they could have just improved that and not made the Pokemon look fucking stupid.
Well, even the strong form, quick form thing that we had in Arceus was cooler. There's
Yeah.
no visual change to that at all. It just changes
Right.
up the way the move
I think
works.
just the quick shing gloss of a blue instead of like whatever type they were, yeah, would have sufficed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Chandelier. I think it's for visuals if you're playing against a different region, or like some they couldn't figure it out for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I
It's
just think they didn't
stupid.
think about it.
I
They
no,
could
I just
like,
think
at
they
the
made.
top, just,
I think
be
they
like,
made a
typeface.
choice that they thought was unique and cool, and it wasn't a good choice.
It backfired. Yeah.
Yeah. definitely one of the weaker
Music.
points.
How's the music? The music's fine. Actually, I've
No,
noticed
good.
myself.
music was horseshit.
What?
And for
Fuck yeah.
one reason only, why the hell
Oh, here it
was the end credit scene a goddamn Ed Sheeran song? Like
think
it starts playing, and I'm sitting there like, oh, it's
That's
an anime
the first
ending,
time
you know?
I've ever heard Zach cuss on the podcast.
I've heard that Ed Sheeran song so many times since
Yeah.
I heard it on Pokemon. Was it
So-
made for the game?
I don't care. It should not have been Ed
It
Sheeran.
was super jarring.
This coming from I am a fan of Ed Sheeran. I listen to his music fairly regularly. My wife and I would love to go see one of his concerts one day, but I'm like, really? This, it started playing and I'm like, oh, it's an anime ending. We're gonna get some, cool Japanese,
That would have been great.
no name group. And then they're gonna perform a song and it's gonna be like partially in English and it's gonna be fun. And then the more it sat there, I'm like, this sounds really. Oh my god,
was
this
weird
is
for me.
freaking Ed Sheeran! Like,
weird
what
for
the
me.
hell? I was livid, and just it doesn't belong. It doesn't make sense. He's from Ireland.
Okay.
Like the whole game is set in Spain or
Yeah.
a Spanish analog.
Yeah.
There's so many decisions they could have made that would have been Enrique would have been better.
So sans the Ed
That's
Sheeran,
funny.
the music is fine. In fact, like I've noticed since I've been doing so many like raids and stuff, and also like breeding Pokemon, I hear it playing in my head when I'm away from it,
Yeah.
or I'm
Yeah.
like humming the tunes. It's fine. It's pretty decent Pokemon music. It's pretty bog standard stuff though for Pokemon.
Yeah.
though,
I think
so.
there's some
It
good
is-
ones. There are
yeah,
some
no,
highs.
There's
really good
some
songs
jams in
there.
the the soundtrack. I had to pull that rant on the Ed Sheeran song, but no,
I
in
get it.
general, the soundtrack to
I will say though, I was playing Guitar Hero. I forgot to mention that this week. Sidebar: there was a Pokemon Red and Blue medley, and it had like all the best songs up to the Champion. Dude, the Champion, such a good song. Like
It's
and
a
the
bop,
Elite
dude.
Four, such a good song. Like the Red and Blue soundtrack is insanely good.
Mm.
It's really good.
So it doesn't come close to that. I
No.
gotta say, but it
Sure.
is pretty. There's some good highs in there.
Sound
There's some boring
design, on the
forgettables.
other hand, is meh.
Ooh,
Like it
it's-
seems
yeah.
like they've been using the same sound design since like
Yeah.
freaking like the
Ever.
like maybe like DS.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's rough.
And that's not to say that like I mean there's some things like the Pokeball sound, right? That like we know and love, right? But like there's-
the da 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 when
Sure.
when you heal.
Attack sounds
Yeah.
fine, I think.
yeah, they're fine. There's nothing spectacular, but it's it's also not.
Well, I would
say,
say, I mean,
we need a real enhancement. Think about what a real enhancement to this game could look like. Like the power ups.
Josh, we'll get there in a second.
Like,
We'll get there in a second.
All this crazy shit. All right.
hang tight.
Well, I mean, you're
Or maybe-
talking
maybe we just do it now,
specific.
like-
You're talking specifically about music, right?
Oh yeah. Well, I was saying,
or,
like,
I mean,
with the
sound
mu-
design,
I was
right.
talking about anime.
Yeah.
I was talking about sound design.
Sound
and
design,
shit,
yeah. Here's the
And all
problem.
of these things can
Well,
be
and yeah,
streamlined. With the
Zach's
visuals,
right because we're
yeah.
after we finish the review, we're going to talk about
all
how
right.
we
We'll
can
wait,
improve
we'll wait.
Pokemon. But I
getting
don't
there.
completely disagree with that sentiment, though.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be extremely difficult, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. And this also might be the same reason why a lot of the rest of this game sucks too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But okay, moving on. How long did it take? I mean, I'm still playing it. I don't know how many hours I have. I
80.
could probably check. But yeah, I mean, a full playthrough, I'd say 80 hours easy.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
about.
If you
yeah.
really want to play it all, yeah, like no joke, maybe like 60
Yeah.
or like 80. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is the game difficult? Not at all.
No,
Though
not at all.
unless you
Nope.
find yourself in a place where you don't belong, but then you can just
Somewhere
go
over your head,
elsewhere.
yeah.
You know.
I will say more difficult than previous, as I had a lot of faintings against like random encounters with wilds
So-
in the
Yep.
beginning.
I think that they used the same battle system as Arceus, which felt a lot more consequential. Like in Arceus, they really made a change to the battle system that made everything like kind of made you think more about like type advantages and things like that, instead of just being like 10 levels higher than the Pokemon you're fighting, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm that level 82, 80 whatever Dragonite has been KO'd on a number of occasions in one hit by Pokemon 20 years or 20 levels lower than it.
Sure.
Every time I try to sweep with one guy, like something stops me, and I'm like, "Fuck, gotta switch out." I guess.
You've got to.
I had to restart the Elite Four a couple times to like either level or find a Pokemon that would.
I will say
match.
I first tried the Elite Four, but on the last two fights, I want to say I was using like 4 or 5 Pokemon. I was like swapping out a lot, especially in the last fight. I was like swapping back and forth like crazy.
Yeah.
Do you guys? So my strategy in Pokemon games is to never swap if I can.
Really depends on my team. That's the thing. Like,
well, because here's the thing: you lose a turn when you swap, and you also put yourself in danger of running into like a trap, like spikes or whatever.
Something I love about Pokemon is that it's like super predictive, and so I find that prediction is like a large percentage of Pokemon actually.
Yeah.
So when I swap, it's because I'm like reading the room or like predicting a move, and I'm like, okay, well they're gonna use like an electric move for sure. Like they set it up for this. He just pumped up, and he's the Thunder guy. I'm gonna swap into like Gastrodon so I can like debuff this move because he's ground. Or like any number of like things where like I'll swap into my Chansey because it's a fat special attack hit. Like she's gonna wall this hit, like something like that. Yeah. So like there are definitely like it's more if you're using like tanks.
Yeah,
like pivots and stuff like
I guess when I'm playing through the story, I'm not thinking that much about strategy.
In story mode,
if
I'm
I was
just like
doing competitive. That's a whole nother story.
See, here's the thing: in story, I actually don't like any of my people to faint because I want them all to get the XP. So if like I don't like people going out to swap. So I'll usually like swap them and let someone eat a hit and then heal them rather than let them faint. Because then when I swap, I have to revive them and they lose a turn anyway. That's like just my MO. I don't like anyone to faint in like a legit fight.
Yeah.
It's weird. It feels shitty to have someone not get XP.
Anyway, so yeah, game not really difficult, but I think they have kind of been making an effort to make them a little more difficult, though like we said, the kind of open world nature of this kind of fucked that up.
It's not the easiest Pokemon game.
Will you play a sequel? Obviously, yes, we will.
Yes, you motherfuckers. You have my social security number. Like, what do you want?
All right, so here's the moment of truth. The overall.
Oh yeah, mine's
the
on my
overall.
phones.
Yeah, mine is too. I didn't have anything to write on.
Shit.
Rating and impression. You guys want
I
to
gotta
go
like
on 3?
crop the picture. Wait. Okay.
One of these days we'll integrate this with OBS and we'll all just type in our score.
My numbers are
going to
be backwards. I just realized because my camera, but it's okay.
All right, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom.
I think my numbers are backwards. So
no, you got a 7.8.
7.8.
Yeah, you're just not backwards.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be high. 6.1 and 6.0.
6.1.
That's honestly what I thought. I'm surprised it didn't dip into the 5s.
The only reason mine wasn't a 6.0
I'll be honest,
is because
Josh.
I don't believe in even numbers in a rating. Yeah. Otherwise, it would have been 6.0.
Yeah. So I mean, for me that this puts it on par with Jay and Silent Bob Mall Brawl.
Okay.
Which like I played it once and I put it away, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. No,
really?
Well, so I did make note that game got a generous 6, and part of that was it's Jay and Silent Bob in a sprite-based brawler. Like you can't deny that. I'm going to play that as a Jay and Silent Bob fan. Hold on, I'm not done yet. So the 6.1 score, Paul, you had a 6.1, puts it on par with where I put Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, definitely never going to play that game again, but not hating the fact that I played it.
That sounded like a 6.1.
and that's right around the area where I was. My initial when I initially sat down, I was like, maybe this is like a 6.4, and I looked at that. I'm like, that puts it better than Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm like, no, it definitely wasn't that, because I'm actively looking forward to Spider-Man 2, and I guarantee that's got elements of Miles Morales in it. So, and then Josh, you gave it what, a 7.8? 7.8. That puts it. That's the same as what you gave Kirby 64 Crystal Shards and Doom 64 Remaster. Like, you had that much fun with it.
Yeah, I actually think I keep that score. Yeah, now that you said those games.
Yeah, for me, the only saving grace about this game is that it's fun.
It is.
And that's because they got the magic formula with Pokemon, though. There's some borderline game-breaking shit in this, and it's and then all the dumb open world stuff and things that they do. Like, I would not play this game if it wasn't Pokemon. I wouldn't.
Me either.
Now, because it's Pokemon, I've put shit tons of hours into it because I really like collecting the Pokemon, and I really like finding shinies, and
the backbone of Pokemon still exists in this game. It's the same reason that Josh and I loved Pokemon Snap so much. The backbone of Pokemon is still there. And unfortunately, Pokemon Snap was on top of that backbone, a brilliant game. Arceus was on top of that backbone, a much needed improvement. And I think that brings us to the main topic, doesn't it?
We can switch off of this real quick, and we'll go into the main topic. Here, we'll switch off. Okay. So the topic is how to improve Pokemon. How do we improve Pokemon from here?
I got some real good ideas.
And we're going to leave graphical fidelity right out because everybody knows this game graphically was ass.
Yeah. So, but can I do something adjacent? I think that's fair.
Go for it. Yeah.
I might also have adjacent.
Because this is graphically adjacent, but it's not just like, oh, make the graphics better. I think they need to stylize Pokemon a little more.
Yes. All three of us agree on that.
Agree wholeheartedly. And stylized, I just want to be clear. I want this to look like a cartoon. I want this to look like Cuphead. How Cuphead, not like Rubber Hose, but how that looks like a cartoon.
Yeah.
I want this to look like the Pokemon show.
Yeah, why not?
Yes.
Why wouldn't?
And specifically the early episodes, like the the Indigo League stuff. And even more than that, like, you could go as far as the watercolor pictures that we got on the original cartridges.
That would,
and it would
blow my mind.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that's my favorite Pokemon design ever.
Take Breath and mix it with Cuphead, and that's the Pokemon game. And maybe
Arceus kind of did it. Yeah, the environments were stylized pretty well in Arceus. The characters less so, but that's trivial. You could make that happen. Mm-hmm. If you change the way and establish a baseline for the way Pokemon looks moving forward, that's a huge step in the right direction. Yeah. The problem is you're fighting with Pokemon looking like generic anime. It doesn't look like any one specific. It looks more like Code Lyoko than it does any actual anime.
This Pokemon looks like some students got together to make a 3D Pokemon game.
Yes.
And they just made 3D models of Pokemon, no style at all. They just, I
mean, they hardly move when they attack.
Yeah.
Dragonite, when it does its big blast attack, just opens its mouth.
Yeah. Now, so here's the thing I wanted to mention earlier, as far as the difficulty of improving Pokemon. It's obviously not impossible because this is owned by Nintendo, and it is the highest grossing video game series of all time, probably.
It's the biggest franchise on Earth.
Computer's not behaving.
It's bigger than Star Wars. That's what's crazy.
So certainly they could make this happen. But they would have to put more time between games, I think, and or expand, get more teams involved, which is fine. But here's the thing: there's well over 1,000 Pokemon now, right?
Yeah.
So
it's like 1,000.
Actually, I think they just crossed 1,000, didn't they?
They crossed 1,000, but
okay.
Oh, and then they
around. Okay,
actually,
so
I'm not sure.
There's around 1,000 Pokemon. Regardless, even if there was 500 Pokemon,
You all up for the poker rap?
Don't even.
Jesus Christ.
1,000 Pokemon
Yeah.
poker rap.
But here's the thing. Doing the animations,
crazy.
doing the modeling, doing the motion capture if they have to, doing the sound design, doing all of that for that many different assets is a
Insane.
freaking Herculean effort.
Yeah.
There's in fairness to Pokemon, there's not any other game or franchise that even comes close to the amount of assets that they need to put into one single game. So
Right.
being able to accomplish that would be difficult. Now, they do have the resources to do that.
They absolutely do. Of course
Yeah.
they do. This is, I mean,
Yeah.
let's.
We need Pokemon Origins.
Yeah, maybe.
That'd be cool. If they just
But-
restart from scratch.
Yep. And
Maybe
I think
that's the way to do
I
it.
think top down, like not necessarily 2D, but I think top down with a
Yeah.
cartoon style.
Yeah.
I would
And
cry.
oh, I would be so happy. But like, even if we don't get that, the Pokedex itself, the Gen 1 games, it was within reasonable limits to obtain 151
Oh, yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
You could do it. I've done it. I've done it with one
done
cartridge. That's a pain in the butt, but you can do it. And yes, it's glitch running, but fine, whatever. It's doable.
Traded.
That's the easy way to do it, and that's the correct way to do it. Fine. It's doable. With 300 plus Pokemon per Pokedex, who's doing that? So the phrase "gotta catch them all" has absolutely no meaning anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's intense.
They have to bring Pokemon back to what it was.
There's a ton of Pokemon you could get rid of too. Like there's trash
Yes,
of
Pokemon
course
in
there
every
are.
gen. You could
Even in
go
this
in
new one, I
the
felt like they picked and
starters. Get
chose-
rid of the
Yeah.
starters.
They got like Venonat and shit like that. And
Why
I'm
is he
just
still
like,
here?
No, if you want to do 200, do 250.
Sure.
We'll be generous. 251. And then you pick, literally, you have 1,000 Pokemon. Do a poll on the best 251 Pokemon.
Do it like the Mega Man Robot Masters.
Maybe save 5 slots or 10 slots for legendaries and do the
Sure.
poll on the best legendaries. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah, and
like,
maybe
don't-
every
none of this-
few years do a refresh. Like
Yes.
get
where
just
there's nothing
totally
new or nothing old.
wipe
Yes.
the slate and then do a new shit. But yeah,
But I mean,
it's
maybe.
ridiculous at
But
this
so
point.
the one theory that I've seen though is there are some that are evergreen. Pikachu, for example,
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, they're evergreen. Yeah.
flagship of the franchise.
Charizard.
You get Pikachu
Charizard.
in every single game. Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, the original starters in every game. Fine, do that thing.
It's
But
actually
the
kind of
rest
an
should be-
issue. It's actually kind of an issue. Hey, kitty. An issue not to have because there were a lot that I was like, okay, cool, we're getting these new ones, but I would have to like look up certain Pokemon for competitive and be like, okay, 3 of my main teammates are not even legal in this format. Like they're not even going to be in this game. Okay, that's weird because I got them in the last game. It's weird that the next game
Yeah.
doesn't incorporate these brand new Pokemon, like one of those scenarios. So it's not only being exclusionary, but it's also like forcing you to play with this new bullshit.
Yeah.
How
How about so? What do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about trading up backwards compatibility?
I would love that. Yeah,
I would
Pokemon
too.
Home. Pokemon Home does exist. It's going
Yeah.
to come out
Yeah.
soon for this.
Yeah,
But-
they can do
But
that.
I would like to so the dream, right, has always been to take that level 100 Mew that I got in blue version and move it all the way up through the rankings.
I think
I know it's
forwards compatibility makes a lot more sense than backwards.
yes. That's what I meant. Forward compatibility.
Imagine if you could trade it all the way up. I think
There
you could.
used to be a way to do that.
There used to be a way. I think
Yeah.
it went as far as X and Y.
That's the thing. Each
Yeah,
game would
when
have
they
to be
shut
able to
down.
receive
I
the
think when they
previous game
shut
for that to
down
work.
the Black and White 2 servers is when you stopped being able to do that.
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
like put a kink in. Though if you had it on 3DS,
Yep.
you could move like because the red, yellow, and blue are all on the 3DS, and
Right.
you can move them. You can trade them to the Pokemon Home from there. But but that's the only way.
Regardless, I think I would love the ability to acknowledge the old while understanding that it's no longer like if those Pokemon just aren't in the game, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's why the numbers are astronomical, because because of the dream exists.
Yeah, but I think they need to come to a point where it's like, okay, maybe they create different Pokemon worlds, or like, when it comes to the regions, like there's just they just need to lock them down to a certain set per game.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
because,
yeah.
and like you said before, pick the good ones, get rid of the trash ones. No, no one likes
There's a lot of good
There's a
ones.
lot of trash ones too. There's a lot of
There's
fucking
a lot.
trash
Well,
ones.
they
I will
also
say-
they try to mix and match types now, and it's like, okay, now this my one Pokemon has 4 different moves. Okay, fine. Each one of those has a different impact on the same Pokemon I'm fighting. No, that's ridiculous. I remember when Hitmonlee had 4 kicks, and
Yeah.
you bring him out against a very specific enemy.
Yeah.
I don't think that a huge move pool is necessarily a disadvantage, but I do think there is just a lot now because of what competitive is asking for. Like, it's really for the competitive meta that there's this insane variety of moves. So if you're
Yeah,
any
but
type, if you're a mixed attacker,
that would help
if you're a
fix
special attacker, if you're
the
physical,
competitive meta too if they reined it in.
Yeah.
I think
You know,
that the
that would-
Terra actually makes the meta insane right now. Also, and as good
Doing
as Terra
things like
is,
that-
it's fucking crazy.
Yeah. Doing
whole
things
game
like
can be
that is a
upset.
cool idea. But again, you need to put parameters on it. You can't just have have any type available for any other thing.
Mhm.
Either that or make it very clear what you're doing. Like Squirtle has this possible Terra type, this possible Terra type. and this
That is my
possible
favorite,
Terra type.
actually. I think making that more streamlined and something like that would be the best, and you could
Yeah.
choose between them. So
I mean, there's
this would
some
be a finite
Terra types
knowledge
that don't
pool.
even fucking make any sense to
Right.
apply to your Pokemon,
Yeah.
because they can't even learn a move in that Terra type. So
Exactly.
the only thing,
You resist that type.
yeah, but you don't get stab on any of your moves, and so
No, you do. You retain original stab. You don't get double stab. You get double stab from Terra.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
Isn't
well,
that
I guess that kind
insane?
of makes sense.
So
But-
like if you go, so I have like a water type that I have grass Terra on. So when people are coming at me with a grass move, I go grass, and then I can still use like my water, whatever bullshit
Mhm.
for stab, which is kind of
Yeah.
nuts. Honestly,
Well,
the
I think-
damage calculator is like insane now. Also, it's
Well,
stupid.
one of the things that I have a problem with though is you get that one Terra orb, right? So
Yeah.
one Pokemon per battle functionally can use that.
Yeah, it's the whole
That's
battle.
not the right thing to
It's the
limit.
whole battle. But yeah, I think it would be cool if it was like each Pokemon can do it, and it lasted for like 2 turns,
2 turns. Exactly.
and then it's done. And all your Pokemon can do it.
Right. Yeah.
But
It's just like,
it's too
I mean, the
permanent.
way they
Yeah.
did the buff in Arceus, you just hit the bumper and you go into a different attack style.
Hmm.
That's correct. That is the correct way to handle that. You go in for one move, it changes it up. But yeah, you could do that with the Terra type. You hit the bumper, you go into your Terra type for 2 turns, and there it is.
That'd
Be
be
like,
cool.
shit, I'm about to get hit by a water move. I need to turn into water. So I'm
Then you're
gonna go
actually
fire
thinking
type.
strategically, not just I need a more powerful attack here.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
yeah.
I do like using it defensively. I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, I use it mostly defensively,
Yeah.
but they limited it in the wrong direction. And
Yeah,
I
I
think-
mean, I think you can still. There's a lot of strategy involved, and part of what like makes that strategy important is that you can only Terra type 1
Yeah.
per like, and this is specifically for in the main game. Who gives a shit, right?
Yeah.
This is
Oh, I
specifically for
barely ever used it.
competitive. You know, yeah, I barely use even in like the Elite Four. I barely used it.
I just didn't want to
Um,
waste the time.
Yeah, exactly.
yes, exactly. It
Really?
takes that anime. That's another thing that they need to fix is pull back the animations.
This is my
Refocus.
biggest want. This is my biggest want, I think, actually, right here. Aside from the complete redesign and everything, is for combat to be so fast. And this is why maybe it needs to be 2D again. Because like the power up I was just saying, where it's like da, 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 and you're sitting there, raised your this, it says it, and then it does a fucking animation for it, and it doesn't, you know what I mean? And then it does the thing finally.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
and
dude,
you're reading this, it could all be like shit done, like
Yeah.
like super.
it's
fucking
so
fast and sleek.
brutal in the fucking Terror raids because like
Yeah.
sometimes doing your Terra type whatever bullshit is really important to finish it. But if you're doing a Terra raid and you're running out of time and you're trying to, terraform or whatever the fuck it's called, you like it takes for goddamn ever, and
it takes so long.
The timer's ticking down the whole time. Like, it's
also
brutal.
If you get fainted, if anyone on the team gets fainted and has to revive, it gets like a chunk out of your 10% out of your
there's
clock.
a time penalty. Yeah, it's brutal.
It's really bad.
So they really need to. I think the conclusion here is they need to refocus. They've got some good ideas, but they need to refocus on what the limitations of those ideas are, and bring it back to a reasonable set of expectations.
I agree.
Yeah.
Just remember how fast combat used to be on Red and Blue. Like, no joke.
Yeah.
Like, like just slam.
You weren't worried about running into a wild Pokemon.
Yeah. Also, sometimes I'll even in ranked, I will use, and in Terra battles especially, you'll be like, okay, I'm on my second move because he's weak against fighting or whatever. And I use it over and over again. All of a sudden, it'll just move back up. It's like the opponent does like a move and it like changes some shit. And then I'm like moving through as fast as I can. Oh, it's at the top move again because it for some reason reset where
it just decides. Yeah,
it doesn't do that in any other Pokemon game, and that is
that drives me nuts.
I
accidentally used the wrong move so many times in Terra raids because of that.
In the final Miraidon battle or whatever, it did that to me twice.
Yeah, I'll usually
terrastalized or whatever.
Move to the top that I use the most.
Yeah,
that's the word, terrastalized, not terra.
Yeah, I did the terrastalized. They're all yelling at me.
Word.
And then they're like, use this specific attack. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying. It keeps jumping to the top.
Yeah, it's always like use it when you don't even have it close to full. Oh, the opponent just absorbed your Terra power. Okay, cool. So like it's never happened.
Thanks.
Yeah. This is impossible.
Yeah.
Also, the online Terra raids, like sometimes the only way to beat it is with bringing people online. If you're doing like a 6-star or 7-star raid, these are hard as fuck and take a really long time. And I lost like several fucking times, even on like 5-star raids.
Yeah.
You got to bring people in, and sometimes you bring people that are fucking idiots, and they
they'll bring like freaking level 45 Pokemon in.
You can't run. Yeah. Dude, there's a lot.
Well,
you can, but you get penalized.
You can just
yeah. Oh, like you can leave a raid, but you won't be able to join one for another like 10 minutes or something like that.
Why?
I don't know.
Well, that's not a game.
Again, they prioritized penalizing the wrong things.
Yeah. Wow, we're really digging into this shit. I mean, I feel like we can make a better Pokemon game with given like the tools at our disposal. I think
what we've concluded here is we need the Cuphead artists.
Yeah.
No.
A bunch of like,
To meet with Game Freak, basically.
Yep. Yeah. Game Freak resources, Cuphead artists, and the three of us, and we'll have like the
biggest one. Actually, the one that cures everything and listens to the fans as well is Nintendo fully assimilating Game Freak, fully absorbing them within and saying, "I'm sorry, Game Freak, we're putting you behind the shed. I don't know what to tell you. Pokemon is our property and we own it, and now we're going to produce it too."
Yeah,
like literally, they could lay Game Freak to rest. Like we could be like, "Look, we're going to give you all the resources. Shigeru Miyamoto is going to be standing over your fucking shoulder, giving you his ideas. Like, you need Nintendo touch, but you have to do it our way. And then otherwise, we don't need Game Freak. We don't need Game Freak. They got so lucky. Like, they're holding on to this property, but Nintendo could just be like, we're going to stop funding your games.
I've said it 1,000 times. Game Freak doesn't make good games.
They need it. If they get assimilated, Nintendo knows what to do. You know what I mean? Nintendo's going to be like, nah, we're going to make this look like Breath of the Wild, but even more cartoony. That'd be the first thing they do. Come on.
Yeah. One other thing that I would love, and I didn't even try this at all, especially after all the feedback I got from friends that had tried it, was the co-op. Like, make seamless co-op, man. Like,
please.
This was such a big.
Part of that's on Nintendo, though. Like, they need to improve their
network integrity,
their networking. Yeah.
It isn't like the co-op. Maybe Nintendo was like, this is what we're limited to do that. Like, maybe they were like, we can't. But they literally give us a co-op where you're able to walk around the world together, but you can't interact in any way. So you're literally just there with each other.
So they were able to port Dark Souls onto the Switch, and it plays excellently. And while I think Dark Souls has a lot of problems with its co-op, it's still much more seamless than the experience that they give you in Pokemon. Like, why can't we just play the game with our friends? Period. You know?
Yep.
And
That is
And
something we've
this was
always
like a
wanted.
step in
The three of
like
us went ballistic when we thought that was the
Yeah.
case.
and how cool
I
would it
know.
be to like I've got Scarlet, you've got Violet. I can join your game in Violet and catch Violet Pokemon and
Be
bring them back to my
amazing.
game.
That would be the quintessential way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the logicals here is that can happen and Nintendo should realize is not to do another open world Pokemon game. I think it's leave it to Arceus.
You
leave
gotta
it to
close
Pokemon
that, yeah.
Legends. We're not going to do another open world Pokemon game. If we do, it'll just be more like a seamless movement game like Animal Crossing where you can just like walk around the
I
plane.
mean, I think they
you
did
know?
it pretty well in
Like
Arceus. Like the and in Arceus,
Well, it was semi-open. It
Yeah,
was
exactly.
like an Arkham situation.
yeah.
Interesting.
So like you couldn't just go wherever you like, even though it was open world, like you were limited to how you could move. And
Yeah.
so that kept
Mm.
you in the areas you were supposed to be. And so you still played that game very linearly for the most part. And that
But you can
worked out
explore at your
really
leisure.
well. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That worked out fantastically. And dude, that game's excellent. Just
It
do
is.
that. Just put all the rest of the Pokemon stuff in it and make it co-op.
Mhm.
Boom. Perfect
Yep.
game.
Yep. There it
I think
is.
it's real
There it is. You
co-op.
heard it. And
I'm
get
tired
rid
of
of Ed Sheeran.
games. I'm tired of games. I'm tired of games being like nerfed in some way for having co-op. Like you have to play a worse version of a game for it to be 2-player. Like no,
Yeah.
why is that a thing? Like they
Stupid.
gave us Super Mario 3D World on the Switch. It's so doable. Like Nintendo,
Yeah.
you're lying if you say you can't do it again.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
game gave me such hope for the future of Nintendo. Like being able to seamlessly play the entire game co-op, and we haven't gotten it again since.
Any final thoughts? We should wrap this up. We're at like almost an hour and a
We're
half.
30 over. Yeah. Final thoughts. I think the game was really fun overall to play. And to me, I got like, yeah, super deep into the rabbit hole. And I'm kind of coming out of it a little just playing the competitive. But there, for me, are a lot of reasons to enjoy this game, even over Sword and Shield. There's quality of life enhancements as a competitive player. There's lots of ease of access and things. And just like the move pool and like the Pokemon pool and the meta is really fun. So there's like a lot of reasons to like this game. And you know, in the middle of the story, when you're like doing all the like raising of your Pokemon too, you're really deep in this shit. Like it
Mhm.
feels really good for a while there. But then there's a lot of weak parts of this game that are just unexcusable by the company, especially with Nintendo having to like take the brunt of whatever happens negatively to this game. Like it really, I think this is the last iteration we're going to see that's at this caliber, just because like it's now clear to everyone. Like it was not, if it wasn't clear before, it's now clear to the entirety of the Pokemon media that this is a problem. Like I can't
I
imagine
hope
any
so,
other
but
way.
I don't think it is. Sometimes I think that companies like Game Freak just see the numbers, and this game
Yeah.
did numbers.
It
You know,
did.
Did the numbers good.
so like they don't care what we want.
Yeah, it might be true.
True.
You know,
It
so
might be time to care though. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
Nintendo
agree.
gets it though. Nintendo, I
Do
still
they?
trust as a. You think
I
they're
mean,
becoming
the
like
answer,
Hasbro?
guys, is time will tell.
No one's as bad as Hasbro. right
Here's the
now.
thing. I think part of why Nintendo's been so successful is also part of why things like this happen, is because they're like, it's our way or the highway. We don't give a shit what you think. And
Yeah,
so,
could be.
you know, they do really well with the things that they do really well. But then, you know, the stuff that they don't care because people are still buying their stuff.
Yeah, and it's
True.
getting to a point where it also could be our demographic is getting edged out in a way. I don't know how to explain it, but like the type of gamer we are, like we liked Breath of the Wild, but other people are like, this is the best thing Nintendo's ever made. The new Kirby game that we put down, other people are like, this game was a masterpiece. So I'm wondering if we're not getting like edged out of our own space.
Well,
a
speaking
little
as
bit.
the closest to the upcoming demographic, my students are noticing the same crap that we are.
Really?
They are just as
Okay.
upset with the graphical infidelities
Okay.
that we are. So
Well, just like gameplay as well. Like we're
Yeah,
games
yeah,
just
yeah.
aren't as fun to play. You
Yeah.
know?
no,
Like,
they're just as upset as we are.
Yeah.
So
there are still Elden Rings out there, and
There
there
are
will
still
always
Elden
be
Rings out there.
will always be gems like that. It's
Yeah.
foolish to think that games won't be like that. You know what I mean?
I want the Pokemon of Elden Ring. Elden Ring of Pokemon.
Oh, it's
Me
too
too.
much though for me.
No, yeah,
as
it
far
is.
as
Yeah,
I
no,
want,
it is. I'm
I
just
want the
saying.
I don't
Link's
want Dark Souls
Awakening
Pokemon.
remake.
I just want-
I don't. I just want something like of just a quality fucking game. And
I
I
want
don't
the
think
Cuphead
they've
of
done a
Pokemon.
quality fucking Pokemon game really ever if you think about it compared to where the technology's at. But they
Yeah.
still put
The
out
3DS was a good place.
yeah.
3DS did a lot of good Pokemon work, but yeah.
Anywho.
But still, no game has ever been a perfect 10 in my mind. The closest being the first two games.
Yeah.
Red and Blue are my highest scores in the Pokemon franchise, and that says
Yeah.
a
And
lot.
green.
And
Yeah.
green. It says a lot about technically yellow too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would say most of the players that have seen the whole franchise come and go would agree with us that it started its strongest,
All right.
which is nuts.
That's it. But if you're watching this live, you're on my Twitch channel. I promise I'll start streaming again. I haven't been much, but I'm gonna get back to it. We're gonna do God of War. We're gonna get back on Samurai Saturdays. It'll be cool. If you're watching this on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you want to yell at me on Twitter, I've been more active on Twitter than anything else lately. So just talking about mostly like classic games and stuff. So talk to me about that stuff on there. It's at Ryugami-sama right down there below. And that's where you can find me. Josh, how about you, man?
Yes, find me at Lord Yeshua and Lord Yeshua TTV and all my bullshit. And it's weird because Lord Yeshua is actually how you find me on Twitch. I'm just realizing, but there's no TTV on the end of it. I guess that's fine. It's implied. All right. Anyway, little brain fart. All right.
It's on the
and
screen.
it's on the screen. I'm actually streaming again a little bit. Me and Colin are going to be streaming our seamless co-op playthrough of Elden Ring, which we are cruising through. It comes back to like riding a bike. It's like riding a bike with 12 pedals. And you're like, oh, okay, how do you dodge? And oh shit, like, okay, now we got it. You know what I mean? But it's definitely like one of those fun games to sink our teeth back.
That's
Come
great.
watch us play that. Maybe even tonight, actually.
Cool.
And then Zach.
And I'm on Twitch at Another Letdown. Taking this week off. Got some family coming into town. We'll be back on Saturday for watching Paint Dry, where I paint miniatures with Paul's brother Adam and our friend Mike, and a special guest we've got coming up very soon. And then so 1 week from tomorrow will be the return of Mass Effect Monday with Mass Effect 3, and we will also be playing God of War Ragnarok on that Friday. So it's going to be a Monday, Friday schedule for the foreseeable future, but longer streams, longer than 2 hours. So that's
like
very exciting.
long.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining. Have a great night. See you next time.
See ya.